Welcome to the DragonLance Saga Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons episode. To another. I should probably adjust that. This is the first episode in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual series. It is Kyrnor Deep Cult the 18th. My name is Adam. Dragonlance came out of Dungeons & Dragons, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so I thought it'd be fun to read the core rules aloud and discuss them with a live audience. Now, I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron. You can even grab Dragonlance Media or get $10 by signing up to start playing.games using my affiliate links in the description below. Now, I almost didn't do this book because what am I going to do? Just read off a bunch of stats? But then I started thinking, well, the strength of the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual is that it expanded on monsters, including ecology and depth about the monsters themselves. And that's where the real value of the Monster Manual, and the fact that it's the first Advanced Dungeons & Dragons source book to be released, period. I mean, the Player's Handbook came next the year later, and then the year after that, the Dungeon Master's Guide. So they released the Monster Manual before you could play the game and have the monsters in it. It was all just supposed to be like some sort of addition to your Dungeons and Dragons game, like the Holmes Edition basic set. You could use these monsters playing that while you waited for the Player's Handbook to come out. But even when the Player's Handbook did come out, you couldn't play the game until the Dungeon Master's Guide came out. So it was literally 2 years later that you were just sitting on your third level characters before you can dive into advanced D&D. In any case, how about we start this? Monster Manual, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons by Gary Gygax. Fourth edition, August 1979. An alphabetical compendium of all the monsters found in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, including attacks, damage, special abilities, and descriptions, by Gary Gygax, illustrations by David C. Sutherland III, D.A. Trampier, Tom Wham, Gene Wells, cover by David C. Sutherland III. Foreword. It is with a certain measure of pride that we at TSR bring you this second part of the new Dungeons & Dragons releases, the long-awaited Monster Manual for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. We are doubly proud of doubly proud of the format of this product, i.e. its special hardcover, a first in the gaming world, and another step in our continuing quest for top-quality products. As time goes on, the D&D phenomenon shows no sign of subsiding. Indeed, the popularity of Dungeons & Dragons continues to grow and grow. This trend is very gratifying to us at TSR and encourages us to devote even more time and attention to D&D. Witness this series of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and related materials, playing aids, accessories, etc. Our aim is to provide a top-quality family of products for use with the Dungeons & Dragons game system, items that we hope you will find useful, innovative, and enjoyable. With the outstanding growth of Dungeons & Dragons has come the growth of TSR hobbies, since it is no secret that the fantastic response to D&D has allowed TSR to expand and explore many new directions in the gaming hobby. Therefore, we owe our thanks to you, the many devoted gamers who have supported TSR through your enthusiasm, your encouragement, and finally, your purchases. Our livelihood depends upon your continued support, and we intend to keep earning it by continuing to bring you innovative products in the future. We appreciate the widespread audience that our games, and especially D&D, have achieved, and we look forward to increasing the exposure of our games and rules. Without such an enthusiastic and loyal following, this would not be possible, so we thank you. The success of Dungeons & Dragons has spawned a considerable number of imitations and spin-off products, perhaps inevitably. Some of these have merit, many, however, do not, and although we may concede their right to exist, however dependent they may be on D&D's audience, We would caution the prospective buyer to consider their true value and not to be confused with those items which bear the Dungeons & Dragons or Advanced Dungeons & Dragons name and constitute the official D&D family of products. As for value, let the others be measured against the standard of quality we have striven for. A hardbound encyclopedia of monsters, for instance, as opposed to a low-quality collection which is poorly assembled and bound. This present work, as will be apparent from its sheer bulk alone, is the result of a considerable amount of work and preparation by many persons. All this has been undertaken with an eye toward providing a final result which can be regarded as the definitive collection of monsters for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, an encyclopedic collection of information certain to be of invaluable use to players and dungeon masters alike, complete with game specifications, background details, and in many cases, with an illustration in addition. Of course, no work can be truly definitive, for as long as players possess an active imagination, many new and fascinating monsters will continue to arise, and this is only as it should be. One final note. As valuable as this volume is with its wealth of information, some DMs may wisely wish to forbid their players from referring to the manual in the midst of an encounter, since it will be considerably more challenging to confront a monster without an instant rundown of its strengths and weaknesses. And besides, a D&D player's true mettle and knowledge will be put to the test. And as even the most casual D&D player knows, that's what this fascinating game is all about. Read on and enjoy. Mike Carr, 27 September 1977. And then we have an alphabetical table of contents, which I'm not going to show here. And we have our preface, if I can spell. Preface. The various creatures contained herein are for use in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Parameters have been set for that game. Those monsters drawn from the original work, co-authored with Dave Arneson, have been revised and expanded upon accordingly. Except as noted, all new monsters are strictly of this author's creation, just as those which appeared in the Strategic Review were, and I take the burden of full responsibility for them. It is necessary to acknowledge the contributions of the following persons: Steve Marsh for devising the creatures for undersea encounters, which originally appeared in Blackmore, as I have radically altered them herein. Errol Otis for doing the preliminary work and illustrations for the Onkeg and Remoraz, which appeared in The Dragon. Ernie Gygax for the Water Weird, and for his help in solidifying many of the characteristics of the creatures herein. Terry Kuntz, who was never thanked for his prototype Beholder, a revised version of which was included in Greyhawk. To the whole crew at TSR, and to Brian Bloom, Tim Kask, and Dave Sutherland in particular, is due thanks for helping me get this whole project into a manuscript. And to my wife, Mary, who has been stuck with the job of typing most of the manuscript, my apologies for mistakes needing correcting, and my admiration for staying with it day after day. If I've missed thanking any other person, please pardon the oversight. Gary Gygax. The next section here. Explanatory Notes. The term monster is used throughout this work in two manners. Its first and most important meaning is to designate any creature encountered, hostile or otherwise, human, humanoid, or beast. Until the encountering party determines what they have come upon, it is a monster. The secondary use of the term is in the usual sense, a horrible or wicked creature of some sort. Thus, a monster is encountered during the course of a dungeon expedition, and it is discovered to be an evil high priest who just might turn out to be a monster in the other sense as well. Note, however, that despite this terminology, humans and such kin as dwarves, elves, gnomes, half-elves, and halflings always use the matrix for human when attacking, even if such humans were encountered as monsters in the course of an adventure. Frequency refers to the likelihood of a particular creature being encountered in a region or area where it might be an inhabitant. Very rare indicates a 4% chance of occurrence, rare indicates an 11% chance, uncommon indicates a 20% chance, and common indicates a 65% chance. These probabilities are considered in the encounter matrix found in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. Number appearing indicates a good average spread. This number is furnished as a guideline only, and it should be altered to suit the circumstances particular to any adventure as the need arises. It is not generally recommended for use in establishing the population of dungeon levels. Armor class describes the general type of protection worn by humans or humanoid creatures. Protection inherent to the creature due to its physical structure or magical nature, or the degree of difficulty of hitting a creature due to its speed, reflexes, etc. Move shows the relative speed of a creature on a constant basis. Higher speeds may be possible for short periods, but as this is generally applicable to all sorts of creatures, a constant is shown. It can be scaled to whatever time period is desired by adjusting ground scale accordingly. The number might be double, and this indicates that the creature can travel in two mediums or modes. /# quote equals flying speed. / hashtag quote equals swimming speed. Parentheses hashtag quote equals burrowing speed, and asterisk hashtag quote equals speed in web. Hit dice indicates the parameters of the number of hit points a creature can withstand before being killed. Unless stated otherwise, hit dice are 8-sided, 1 to 8 hit points. This indicated number of dice are rolled, and the numbers shown on each are added together to arrive at a total number of hit points. Some creatures have hit points which are less than a full 8-sided die, and this is shown by stating their hit dice as a point spread. Some creatures have additional points added to their hit die. This is indicated by a plus sign following a number shown after the number of the hit dice they have, i.e. hit dice 4 plus 4, which equals 4 to 32 hit points, plus 4 points, or 8 to 36 hit points. Percent in lair indicates the chance of encountering the monster in question, where it domiciles and stores its treasure, if any. If a monster encountered is not in its lair, it will not have any treasure unless it carries individual treasure or some form of magic. Whether or not an encounter is occurring in the monster's lair might be totally unknown to the person or persons involved until after the outcome of the encounter is resolved. Treasure type refers to the table which shows the parameters for various types of valuables which the monster in question might possess. If individual treasure is indicated, each individual monster of that type will carry, or possibly carry, the treasure shown. Otherwise, treasures are only found in the lairs of monsters, as explained above. Note also that although an encounter occurs in a monster's lair, and the monster possesses some treasure type, this does not automatically mean that the adventurers will gain treasure by defeating the monster. Most treasure types show probabilities for various kinds of wealth to occur in the treasure of the monster. If subsequent dice rolls indicate that the form of treasure is not in the monster's trove, then it is not there, and it is quite possible to come up with no wealth, including magic items, of any sort in the monster's lair, despite the fact that a treasure type is indicated. Finally, it must be stated that treasure types are based upon the occurrence of a mean number of monsters as indicated by the number appearing, and adjustments detailed in the explanatory materials particular to the monster in question. Adjustments downwards should always be made for instances where a few monsters are encountered. Similarly, a minor adjustment upwards might be called for if the actual number of monsters encountered is greatly in excess of the mean. The use of treasure type is to determine the treasure guarded by a creature in a dungeon is not generally recommended. Larger treasures of a given type are denoted by a multiplier in parentheses, times 10, for example, not to be confused with treasure type X. Number of attacks shows the number of basic attacks the monster is able to make during a given melee round. This number can be modified by hits which sever members, spells such as haste or slow, and so forth. It does not usually consider unusual or special attack forms. Multiple attacks usually indicate the use of several members, such as multiple heads or two paws raking with claws and a bite from the monster's jaws. Damage per attack simply indicates the amount of damage a given attack will cause when it hits, expressed as a spread of hit points. If the monster employs weapons, the damage cannot, of course, be shown, for it depends on the type of weapon employed by a particular monster. Special attacks details such attack modes as dragon breath, magic use, etc. The full explanation of the mode is detailed in the material describing the monster. Special defenses are simply what the term implies and are detailed in the same manner as are special attacks. Magic resistance indicates the percentage chance of any spell absolutely failing in the monster's presence. It is based on the spell being cast by a magic user of 11th level, and it must be adjusted upwards by 5% for each level below 11th or downwards for each level above 11th of the magic user casting the spell. Thus, a magic resistance of 95% means that a 10th level magic user has no possibility of affecting the monster with the spell, while a 12th level magic user has a 10% chance. Even if a spell does take effect on a magic resistant creature, the creature is entitled to normal saving throws. Note also that magic resistance of a creature has an effect on certain existing spells, such as Hold Portal, where it indicates the probability of the magic resistance shattering the existing spell. Intelligence indicates the basic equivalent of human IQ. Certain monsters are instinctively or otherwise cunning, and such is accordingly noted in the body of the descriptive material. The ratings correspond roughly to the following character intelligence scores: 0, non-intelligent or not rateable; 1, animal intelligence; 2 to 4, semi-intelligent; 5 to 7, low intelligence; 8 to 10, average human intelligence; 11 to 12, very intelligent; 13 to 14, highly intelligent; 15 to 16, exceptionally intelligent; 17 to 18, genius; 19 to 20, supra-genius; 21 plus, godlike intelligence. Alignment shows the characteristic bent of a monster to a law or chaos, good or evil, or towards neutral behavior, possibly modified by good or evil intent. It is important with regard to the general behavior of the monster when encountered. Size is abbreviated as S, smaller than a typical human; M, approximately man-sized, 5 feet to 7 feet tall, and of approximate build; and L, larger than man-sized in one way or another, and generally having greater mass. Psionic ability and attack defense modes indicates the general capabilities, if any, of a monster in these areas. Where necessary, a sketch of each monster is shown. Details of information pertaining to a given monster are included immediately after the headings explained above. Hey, Corey, thanks for tuning in. Engine Joe, what's up? Thanks for stopping in. S. Tempington, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. All right, we are in A. That is all the descriptions of monsters. Now, here's how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to show the text, and let me see if I need to make it bigger. There we go. That's pretty big. I'm not going to give you all the stats for the frequency, number, appealing, armor class, move, hit die, percent in layer, treasure type, number of attacks, damage attacks, special defenses, magic intelligence, alignment, size, and psionic ability. I'm just going to give you the name and the description underneath as provided. That way, you can still look this all up on your own, or you can just see on screen what it is, but no one is referencing this video for individual monster stats. This is more of an exploration of the monster manual. So because of that, and because it would just be so annoying on my part to have to read all of those stats, especially when it breaks down to multiple versions of one creature, and reading all of those just gets pointless. All right. Superfluous. So here we go. Aerial Servant. The aerial servant is a semi-intelligent form of an elemental. It is typically encountered only due to conjuration by a cleric, although these creatures roam the ethereal and astral planes, and when encountered they can be dimly seen. An aerial servant is normally invisible. Aerial servants do not fight per se, but they are exceedingly strong and very fast. They can carry weights in excess of 10,000 gold pieces, and if they grasp any creature, it requires an 18 strength to have any chance of breaking free. For each percentage point score the creature has, there is a like chance to escape the grasp of the aerial servant, i.e., a human with an 50% chance has a 50% chance of breaking free of the grasp, and a 00% or 19 indicates automatic breaking of the grasp. They travel at twice the speed of an invisible stalker, and when on the physical plane, they are able to achieve surprise on a die roll of 1 to 4 out of 6. If the aerial servant is frustrated from the completion of its assigned mission, it becomes insane, returns to the cleric, which sent it forth, and attacks as a double-strength invisible stalker. Likewise, if it is encountered ethereally or astrally, the aerial servant will typically attack in the same fashion. For further details regarding aerial servants, consult the volume detailing clerical spells. Onkeg. The onkeg burrows through the earth like an earthworm, preferring soil rich in minerals and organic matter. Thus, it will usually be found in forests and choice agricultural land. This causes farmers great consternation, since the onkeg likes to supplement its earthly diet of soil with a bit of fresh meat, human or otherwise. Since its mouth is not designed to rip and tear meat, its mandibles crush its prey and secrete a digestive enzyme, causing an additional 1 to 4 points per turn until the prey is completely dissolved. If sorely pressed in battle, it is able to squirt its digestive acids 30 feet once per 6 hours. However, when it does this, it cannot digest anything for the same length of time, so it usually will bite. A squirt of digestive acid causes 8 to 32 hit points of damage to the creature struck, half the amount if the creature makes its saving throw. The onkeg's favorite method of attack is lying 5 feet underneath the ground until its antenna detects a likely victim passing overhead. Then it burrows out directly underneath the prey and grabs it. Description: the onkeg has a chitinous shell, which is brownish in color. Its underside is pinkish. The creature's eyes are glistening black. Ant, giant. When giant ants are encountered, it is 90% likely that they will simply be workers. If found in their lair, nest, there will be double the number rolled plus 1 warrior ant for every 5 workers. The warrior ant has 3 hit dice, does 2 to 8 hit points of damage with its mandibles, and if it hits with them, it will also attempt to sting for 3 to 12 points of damage. If a sting hits, a saving throw versus poison must be made. If successful, the victim takes only 1 to 4 hit points of damage. The queen ant has 10 hit dice, but she neither moves nor attacks. If she's killed, the other ants will become confused, as if they were under the influence of that spell, for 6 melee rounds, and then leave the nest. Treasure held by ants will be found in the chamber of the ant queen. The egg chamber will be guarded by 5 to 50 workers and 5 warriors. Giant ant eggs have no normal market value. Ape, gorilla. The typical ape is found only in lonely, tropical forest regions. It is non-aggressive and shy, but if threatened or cornered, will fight fiercely. If it scores hits with both of its hands, it does an additional 1 to 6 points, grabbing and rending its opponent. Ape, carnivorous. The carnivorous ape is a larger, stronger, and very aggressive relative of the gorilla. This beast has fair intelligence, IQ 70+, and is very cunning. It hungers particularly for human flesh. The eyesight of the ape is keen, as its hearing and sense of smell, so it's surprise only on a roll of 1. If it strikes its opponent with both hands, the ape does an additional 1 to 8 hit points of rending damage. Axe beak. Axe beaks are prehistoric, carnivorous, flightless birds. They're very fast runners and aggressively hunt during daylight. An axe beak resembles an ostrich in its lower portions, with a strong neck and a heavy, sharp beak. That was fast. We're now on B. Baboon. Baboons are basically herbivores, group animals. The tribe will be led by 2 to 8 large males, plus 1 hit point damage on attacks. Half of the tribe will be young, which will not attack. If the home territory of a tribe is invaded, the baboons will attempt to drive the invaders off, but it is 90% likely that the tribe will flee if faced by determined resistance. Badger. These burrowing animals are typically solitary. Their speed accounts for their high armor class rating. They are fierce fighters and will staunchly defend their territory. If more than one is encountered, it will be a mated pair and young. The pelt of the badger is typically sold for from 10 to 30 gold pieces. Giant badger. There is a very rare variety of badger which grows to twice the size of the normal sort. Hit die 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 6 damage, size medium. They are otherwise identical. Oh my gosh. Baluchitherium. 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 All right, however you say it. The creature is a prehistoric ancestor of the rhinoceros. It is a huge herbivorous mammal with a tendency to charge at anything nearby in order to trample it. If 2 are encountered, they will be a mated pair. If 3 are encountered, the third will be a young Baluchitherium. Roll percentile dice to determine size. Barracuda. Barracuda inhabit warm salt waters. These predatory fish are lightning quick, going from a motionless state to full speed in single melee round. They attack any prey which is injured, appear helpless, or is relatively small. Basilisk. The basilisk is a reptilian monster. Although it has 8 legs, its slow metabolic process allows it only slow movement. While it has strong, toothy jaws, the basilisk's major weapon is its gaze, by means of which it is able to turn to stone any fleshly creature which meets its glance. However, if its gaze is reflected so that the basilisk sees its own eyes, it will itself be petrified. But this requires light at least equal to bright torchlight and a good smooth reflector. Basilisks are usually dull brown with yellowish underbellies. Their eyes are glowing pale green. The basilisk is able to see in both the astral and ethereal planes. In the former plane, its gaze kills, while in the latter, it turns victims to ethereal stone, which can only be seen by those who are in that plane or can see ethereal objects. Hey, Aging Viking, how you doing, man? Bear. All of these ursoids are omnivorous, although the gigantic cave bear tends towards a diet of meat. All have excellent hearing and smell, but rather poor eyesight. Size shown is average for the variety, and larger individuals will be correspondingly more powerful. The grizzly bear is a brown bear of very aggressive disposition. Black bears are usually non-aggressive. Brown bears are, and cave bears are quite aggressive. If a bear scores a paw hit with an 18 or better, it also hugs for additional damage as indicated. The brown and cave bears will continue to fight for 1 to 4 melee rounds after reaching 0 to -8 hit points. At -9 or greater damage, they are killed immediately. What do you think about that? I mean, should you just give them extra hit points rather than having them go in the negatives? Beaver, giant. These intelligent but docile creatures will flee any attack if at all possible. But if cornered, or if their huge lodge is threatened, they will fight fiercely. Their habitat is a lake created by the vast dam, and in the middle of the body of water thus created, they build a veritable castle of mud and logs, with walls not less than 5 feet thick. The entire community lives in this single dwelling, and if an alarm tail slap on the water is sounded, all beavers rush to this place to defend it and their young. For every adult beaver, there will be a young one. Roll percentile dice for size determination. Giant beavers sometimes trade, and if coins or other valuables are offered, they can sometimes be persuaded to undertake the building of dam-like constructions, if there is water near the building site, for they use such water to work in or from. They prize high... Wait a second. Is this saying... You would have to speak with animals to make this work. In my games, anyway. If there is water near the building site, for they use such water to work in and from, they prize highly certain barks and tender twigs, notably birch, aspen, and willow. Their hides are worth from 500 to 2,000 gold pieces each. Giant beaver kits of under 8 hit points can be subdued, captured, and sold in the market for from 100 to 200 gold pieces per hit point. Beetle, giant. General. All beetles are basically unintelligent and always hungry. They feed on virtually any form of organic material, including other sorts of beetles. They taste by means of their antennae or feelers. If the substance is organic, the beetle then proceeds to grasp it with its mandibles, crush it up, and eat it. Because of this thorough grinding, nothing actually eaten by giant beetles can be revived in any manner short of a wish. Beetles do not hear or see well, relying primarily on taste and feel. Bombardier beetle. This beetle is usually found in wooded areas above ground. It feeds on offal and carrion primarily, gathering huge heaps of such material in which to lay its eggs. If this beetle is attacked or disturbed, there is a 50% chance each melee round that it will turn its rear toward its attackers and fire off an 8 feet by 8 feet by 8 feet cloud of reeking, reddish acidic vapor from its abdomen. This cloud causes 3 to 12 hit points of damage to any creature within it. Furthermore, the sound caused by the release of the vapor has a 20% chance of stunning any creature with a sense of hearing within 16-foot radius, and the like chance for deafening any creature within the 16-foot radius which was not stunned. Stunning lasts for 2 to 8 melee rounds, plus an additional 2 through 8 melee rounds of deafness after stunning. Deafening lasts 2 to 12 melee rounds. The giant bombardier can fire its vapor cloud every third melee round, but not more than twice in 8 hours. That's brutal. Boring beetle. These beetles favor rotting wood and similar organic material upon which to feed, so they are usually found inside huge trees or in unused tunnels, complexes underground. In the latter areas, they will grow molds, slimes, and fungi substances for food, starting such cultures on various forms of decaying vegetation and animal matter and wastes. These creatures are individually not of much greater intelligence than others of their kind, but it is rumored that groups develop a communal intelligence, which generates a level of consciousness and reasoning ability approximating that of the human brain. That's cool. Fire beetle. The smallest of the giant beetles, fire beetles nevertheless are capable of delivering serious damage with their powerful mandibles. They are found both above and below ground, both primarily nocturnal. Fire beetles have 2 glands above their eyes and 1 near the back of their abdomen, which give off a red glow. For this reason, they are highly prized by miners and adventurers. As this luminosity will persist for from 1 to 6 days after the glands are removed from the beetle, the light shed illuminates a 10-foot radius. Rhinoceros beetle. This uncommon monster inhabits tropical and subtropical jungles. They roam these regions searching for fruits and vegetation, crushing anything in their paths. The horn of a giant rhinoceros beetle, extends about 6 feet. Whoa! That's huge. Stag beetle. These woodland-dwelling beetles are very fond of grains and similar growing crops, so they will sometimes become highly pestiferous and raid cultivated lands. Like other beetles, they have poor sight and hearing, but they will fight if attacked, or attack if they encounter organic material they consider food. The giant stag beetle's 2 horns are usually not less than 8 feet long. Not less than 8 feet, jeez. Water beetle. The giant water beetle is found only in fresh water of not less than 30 feet deep. As they are voracious eaters, they prey upon virtually any form of animal, but will eat almost anything. Slow and ponderous on land, they move very quickly in water. Giant water beetles hunt food by scent and vibration. All right. Beholder. Dun, dun, dun. Those eye stalks are terrifying. The beholder, eye tyrant, sphere of many eyes, is most frequently found underground, although it infrequently will lair in desolate wilderness. The globular body of this monster is supported by levitation, and it floats slowly about as it wills. Atop the sphere are 10 eye stalks, while in its central area are a great 11th eye and a large mouth filled with pointed teeth. The body is protected by a hard chitinous covering. The creature's eye stalks and eyes are also protected, although less well, thus the armor class of 2 and 7 respectively. Because of its particular nature, the beholder is able to withstand the loss of its eye stalks. Those members are not computed as part of its hit point damage potential, and lost eye stalks will eventually grow back 1 week per lost member. The body of the monster can withstand 2/3 of its total damage potential, while the great central eye can withstand 1/3 of this total, i.e., a beholder with 45 hit points can withstand 30 hit points of damage to its body before being killed. The 11th eye can withstand 15 points before ceasing to function. Eye stalks take from 8 to 12 hit points each before being lost. The body of a beholder represents 75% of potential hit area. The central eye and the eye stalks, 10% each, and 10 smaller eyes, 5%. Eyes. The various eyes of a beholder each have a different function. Typically, only the central eye, plus 1 to 4 of those on stalks, are able to function, considering that the attack is coming from an arc 90 degrees before the monster. If attacks come from 180 degrees, double the number of eye stalks able to function, and for 270 degrees or 360 degrees, triple or quadruple the number. Attacks from all enable all 10 eyes stalks to function, but the central eye cannot. Functions of the eyes are 1. Charm person spell, 2. Charm monster spell, 3. Sleep spell, 4. Telekinesis 2,500 gold piece weight, 5. Flesh stone ray 3 inches range, and remember inches inside is times 10 in feet, and inches outside is times 10 in yards. 6. Disintegrate ray 2 inches range, 7. Fear as a wand, 8. Slow spell, 9. Cause serious wound 5-inch range, 10. Death ray 4-inch range, 11. Anti-magic ray 14-inch range. Nature. The beholder is hateful, aggressive, and avaricious. They will usually attack immediately. If confronted by a particularly powerful party, there is a 50% chance they will listen to negotiations, either to be bribed not to attack or to pay a ransom to not be attacked, depending on the strength of the opposing party. They can speak their own language as well as that tongue known to lawful evil creatures. Black Pudding. The Black Pudding is a monster composed of groups of single cells. It is a scavenger, hunter, found only in underground areas normally. The body structure of a black pudding is such that it can flow, through narrow openings such as a 1-inch crack under a door. The monster travels equally well on walls or ceilings as well as floors. Its tiny mouths and saliva do 3 to 24 hit points of damage per melee round to exposed flesh. If the monster needs to dissolve wood in order to obtain food, it can eat away about 2-inch thickness of wood equal to in area to its diameter in 1 melee round. Black puddings also eat away metal with their corrosive saliva. Chainmail in 1 melee round, plate mail in 2, and an additional melee round for magical armor at a rate of 1 melee round for each plus of armor. Thus, +1 magic plate armor would have to be in contact with the black pudding for 3 melee rounds before it's dissolved. If chopped or struck, the monster is broken into 2 or more parts, each able to attack. The same is true if it is attacked by lightning. Cold does not affect it, fire causes normal damage to this monster, and they avoid flames. Black puddings sometimes have color variation, gray, brown, and white being not uncommon. Black puddings with 10 to 20 hit points are about 5 feet diameter. Those of 21 to 40 hit points, 6 feet. 41 to 60 are 7 feet, and 61 to 80 are 8 feet. Note that even those of the smallest size, or those as small as 1 foot diameter, are able to deliver normal damage. This is due to the fact that larger puddings simply do not use all of their mouth openings as they are not exposed. That's creepy. Blink Dog. These brown and yellowish creatures are as intelligent as normal humans and have a fairly complex language consisting of barks, yaps, whines, and growls. They're also able to use a limited form of teleportation, the blink. In attack pack, members will blink in and out in a random fashion at random intervals, teleporting individuals having a 75% chance of appearing behind the opponent. An individual will teleport on a score of 7 or better on a 12-sided die. Roll again to determine where the blink dog teleporting reappears. 1 in front of the opponent, 2 shielded or left front flank, 3 equals unshielded or right front flank, 4 to 12 behind. When blinking in, the creature will be from 1 foot to 3 foot from the opponent and immediately able to attack. Blinking is an inborn instinct, and it never allows the animal to reappear in a space already occupied by a solid object. If seriously threatened, or if 25% or greater loss has been sustained, the entire pack will blink out and not return. There is a great enmity between blink dogs and displacer beasts, and the two creatures will always attack each other. If encountered in the lair, there is a 50% chance that there will be from 3 to 12 pups. 1 to 2 hit dice, 1 to 2, 1 to 3 hit points damage per attack. These young are worth from 1,000 to 2,000 gold pieces on the market, as they can be tamed and trained. Tamed and trained? I want a blink dog. That'd be awesome. Boar. These creatures are typically pig-like omnivores, only the warthog has a range restricted to warmer climes. Boar wild. If more than one is encountered, the others will be sows. 3 hit die, 2 to 8 hit points damage per attack. On a 1 to 4 sows sounders ratio. Thus, if 12 are encountered, there will be 1 boar, 3 sows, and 8 young. The boar will fight for 2 to 5 melee rounds after reaching 0 to -6 hit points, but dies immediately at -7 or greater damage. Giant boar, Elothere. This prehistoric forerunner of the wild boar is also very aggressive. If 3 or more are encountered, there is only a 25% chance that they will be young. 2 to 6 hit die, 1 to 4, 2 to 5, 2 to 7, 2 to 8, 3 to 12 hit points damage per attacks, numbering from 1 to 4 if the total herd. The boars and sows fight equally, and either will fight for 1 to 4 melee rounds after reaching 0 to -10 hit points, but die immediately upon reaching -11 or more hit points. That's brutal. Warthog. These tropical beasts are aggressive only if their territory is threatened, or if cornered, or threatened. They make 2 slashing attacks with their large tusks. Male and females fight equally. If 3 to 6 are encountered, the balance will be young. 1 to 2 hit die, 1 to 3, 2 to 5 hit points damage per attack. The warthog will continue to fight for 1 to 2 melee rounds after reaching 0 to -5 hit points, but at -6 or greater damage dies immediately. Brain mole. Look at that creepy creature. Small mole-like animals which inhabit most places above and below ground. Brain moles are attracted by psionic activity of any sort, including magical spells which duplicate psionic effects. When a brain mole is within 30 feet of any creature exercising such psionic activity, it will seek to feed upon the energy being used by psionically burrowing into the mind. This has the effect of attacking the mind with a 121-point strength mind thrust upon the creature using psionic energy. This burrowing will have a 20% chance per melee round of causing permanent insanity in non-psionically endowed creatures employing psionic energy through spells or magical items. Cessation of the spell or abandoning the use of the magic item will immediately relieve the attack. A psionic under attack must escape the range of the brain mole or kill it to halt its burrowing. Gosh. Brownie. I always think of Frangine and Rule. Brownies are distant relatives of halflings, perhaps half halflings, half pixie, but they are smaller and far less common. They're basically friendly to humans and their ilk, dwarves, elves, and halflings, but because they are shy, they are seldom seen and favor quiet pastoral areas in which to dwell. If encountered on friendly terms, brownies can often, 50%, be convinced to help lawful good characters. They are able to make or repair items of wood, leather, metal, etc. with ease. They are also good guides. Brownies can use the following spells once per day: Protection from Evil, Ventriloquism, Dancing Lights, Continual Light, Mirror Image, 3 images, Confusion, and Dimension Door. Brownies do not usually carry weapons other than short swords. They have exceptional senses in general and never surprise, and have 18 dexterity. Brownies are capable of blending into the landscape very quickly, in effect using natural cover and speed to become invisible and escape if desired. Besides their own language and the alignment tongue, brownies speak Elvish, Pixie-ish, and the language of sprites and halflings. What did you do? All you did was hang around and eat our eggs, eh? Buffalo. Tatanka. These dangerous herd animals of tropical and subtropical plains will usually attack if approached too closely, 6 inches or less. When attacking, the whole herd is likely to charge. A charging buffalo does 3 to 18 hit points of damage, impacting, and 1 to 4 points trampling. A charge must cover at least 40 feet. Some species of buffalo, 50% chance, are non-aggressive and will flee if threatened. Bugbear. It's thin little legs. It's skipped leg day. Bugbears live in loose bands and are typically found in the same areas as are goblins. Unlike their smaller cousins, however, these hairy giant goblins operate equally well in bright daylight or great darkness, and they have infravision to 60 feet. So they are as likely to choose a habitation above ground as they are to select a subterranean abode. If 12 or more bugbears are encountered, there will be a leader with 22 to 25 hit points. Armor class 4, attacks as a 4-hit die monster, gets +1 on damage caused. If 24 or more are encountered, there will be the following additional bugbears. A chief, armor class 3, 28 to 30 hit points, attacking as 4-hit die monster and doing +2 damage. And a sub-chief, as per leader type above. If encountered in their lair, there will always be a chief and sub-chief, and there will be females and young equal to 50% each of the number of males. Neither of the latter types of bugbears will fight unless in a life or death situation. In the latter case, the females fight as hobgoblins and the younger will fight as kobolds. The arms carried by bugbears range the gamut of available weapons, from swords to wooden clubs with spikes set in them, Morningstars. A fair number of spears are carried by these monsters, and they tend to use them, along with axes, maces, and hammers, as missile weapons. As bugbears are strong, they can throw these weapons up to 4 inches, anything under 2 inches being treated as medium range. So medium range, you add a -2 to your attack roll, and long range, I think it's a -4 to your attack roll. Although bugbears are clumsy looking and walk with a shambling gait, they're actually able to move very quickly and with great stealth, thus surprising opponents 50% of the time. Bugbears speak goblin and hobgoblin in addition to their racial and alignment tongues. And just a quick note about surprise, you roll a d6, and on a 1 to 2, you generally surprise your opponents. So if they surprise 50% of the time, it's 1 to 3. Description: the skin of bugbears is light yellow to yellow-brown, typically dull yellow. Their hair ranges in color from lustreless tannish brown to brick red. Their eyes are greenish-white with red pupils. The odds and ends of armor they wear, as well as whatever cloth, skins, or hides they drape themselves in, tends to be ill-kept, dirty, and dingy. They live for approximately 75 years. Bulette. football-looking creature. The bulette, or land shark, was thought to be extinct until recently, with this horror reappeared. It was the result of a mad wizard's experimental crossbreeding of a snapping turtle and armadillo, with infusions of demon's ichor. They range temperate climates, feeding on horses, men, and other flesh, although they dislike dwarf and shun elf of any sort. They love halfling and will hungrily dig them from their burrows. Whoa. The stupid bulette is irascible and always hungry, and they fear nothing. So, a bulette will attack a large, powerful party just to eat a horse or two. Sometimes the crest of a burrowing land shark will break the ground, thus the name land shark. When fighting, they usually employ their front feet and gaping maw, but when cornered or seriously wounded, they can jump up to 8 feet in the air with blinding speed and strike with all 4 feet, 3 to 18 points of damage for each of the rear feet as well. It's like some kung fu movie. This massive bulette jumps in the air and just kicks with all of its feet. That's a funny sight. The shell under the bulette's crest, an area about 1.5 feet square, is only armor class 6, and in a fierce fight, the monster tends to raise its crest and expose this vulnerable area. Its eyes are armor class 4, but they're relatively small, 8 inches oval. The bulette is solitary. Only a mated pair will share the same territory. No young have ever been seen, but smaller, as few as 6 hit dice, specimens have been killed. No one is certain how or where the young are born or hatched. Very large bulette have been reported, one being no less than 11 hit dice and over 11 feet tall at the shoulder. That's massive. The great plates behind the bulette's head are highly prized for use in shield making, for a skilled dwarven craftsman can fashion them into a shield of +1 to +3 value. Description. Typical specimens have blue-brown heads and hind portions, with plates and scales of gray-blue to gray-green. Nails and teeth are dull ivory. The area around the eyes is brown-black. The eyeballs are yellowish, and the pupils of the eyes are dark green. Bull. The bull is a dangerous opponent, being aggressive and easily aroused to anger. There is a 75% chance that if approached within 8 inches, it will attack. A charging bull will do 3 to 12 points of damage upon impact, with an additional 1 to 4 points of trampling damage. A charge must cover at least 30 feet. Such animals as the wild ox and the aurochs fall under this general class. When a herd is present, there will be several bulls which will defend the rest. All right, we're moving on to C. You've destroyed more brownies than probably anyone on the planet. It's not the D&D kind. Well, I hope it's only one specific kind. I get a lot of, well, not a lot. I get, what are they called? Oh my gosh. Girl Scout cookies. Isn't there like a rank of brownie in Girl Scouts? Homemade brownies are arguably the best. Like right out of the oven, a la mode. Oh. Scott, thanks for tuning in. All right, Camel, Wild. The bulette was created to stop players from using dwarven pack horses. Oh, nice. Camel, Wild. Single humped camels, dromedaries, are found only in very warm desert areas. The double humped Bactrian sort are able to abide cold and even non-desert regions. All camels are able to go for up to 2 weeks without food or water. They can carry loads up to 6,000 gold pieces weight, although this reduces their speed to 9 inches. If loaded between 4,000 and 5,000 gold pieces, their speed is 15 inches maximum. The Bactrian camel is 3 inches slower than the dromedary, so reduce its movement accordingly. Camels can attack by biting. They can kick, but do not typically do so. They tend to be nasty-tempered and may spit at persons coming to ride or use them similarly. 50% chance to do so, 25% chance of blinding for 1 to 3 melee rounds if they do spit. Wow, they got good aim. Horses tend to dislike the odor of camels. How rude. Carrion crawler. Carrion crawlers strongly resemble a cross between a giant green cutworm and a huge cephalopod. They're usually found only in subterranean areas. The carrion crawler is, as its name implies, a scavenger, but this does not preclude aggressive attacks upon living creatures. For that ensures a constant supply of corpses upon which to feed or for deposit of eggs. Oh, deposit of eggs! The head of the monster is well protected, but its body is only armor class 7. A carrion crawler moves quite rapidly on its multiple legs despite its bulk, and a wall or ceiling is as easily traveled as a floor, for each of its beast's feet are equipped with sharp claws which hold it fast. The head is equipped with 8 tentacles which flail at prey. Each 2 feet long tentacle exudes a gummy secretion which, when fresh, will paralyze opponents, save versus paralyzation, or it takes effect. As there are so many tentacles with which to hit, and thus multiple chances of being paralyzed, these monsters are greatly feared. Yeah. Catoblepas. I bet that nose is like a wet dog nose. This nightmare creature is loathsome beyond description and has no redeeming features. Its body resembles that of a huge bloated buffalo and gives off an offensive odor. The catoblepaw's neck is long and thin, and perched atop it is a big head uglier than that of a warthog. Its legs are thick and stumpy, much like a hippopotamus. The creature's tail is strong and snaky, however, and moves with amazing swiftness to strike enemies. Any creature so struck has a base 75% chance of being stunned for 1 to 10 melee rounds, this base chance being modified by adjustment downward by 5% for every level, or hit die of monsters above 1. Thus, if an 11th level character is struck by the tail, there is only a 25% chance of stunning. Perhaps its habitat, fetid swamps and miasmal marshes, caused the bizarre combination of genetic characteristics in this monster, or perhaps it was due to some ghastly tinkering with life by a demented godling. In any case, the most horrid aspects of the catoblepas is its bloodshot eyes. The gaze of the catoblepas is equal to a death ray extending 6 inches from the eyes even into the astral and ethereal planes. Any creature which meets this gaze dies without any chance to save itself. Complete surprise, a 2 on 6-sided die, means one of the party encountering the monster has met its gaze. Otherwise, the very weak neck of the catoblepas has only a 25% chance of raising its head high enough to use its eyes. If both parties are still this chance increases by 15% per melee round. If the monster must follow quick movements, or if it is shambling along in pursuit of prey, there is only a 10% chance per melee round of the neck raising its head sufficiently high to fix its gaze. A fleeing victim, even with eyes averted, is subject to the deadly effect of the catoblepas's eyes, although there is a saving throw. That's brutal, man. Oh, hey, Goldmoon, how you doing? All right, I think that is going to do it for this reading here. The survival rate in the Dark Ages of Earth was already low, disease, hunger, war. When you add in these monsters to a fictional facsimile, it's amazing anyone survives at all. Yeah, for sure. That's going to do it for this episode of Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons! What do you think of the introduction? Do you have a favorite monster? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you to creator patron Aaron Hardy, developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz, and all of the YouTube members. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the Dragonlance Saga. I hope you'll join me in the celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, Slanjavar!